Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the English Mind. I'm Rihanna.
And I'm Smith. Hi, everybody. It's great to see you all here again.
Today, we have a really practical and useful lesson for you. We're going to teach you how to talk about your job in English. This is something you'll need in so many situations.
Absolutely. Whether you're meeting new people, attending a job interview, or even chatting with friends, you need to know how to describe what you do for work. And we're going to make it super easy for you today.
That's right. We'll cover everything from simple job titles to describing your daily tasks, your workplace, and even how to talk about your work schedule. So by the end of this lesson, you'll feel confident talking about your job in English.
Now, before we dive in, if you're enjoying this lesson, please hit that like button. It really helps us create more content for you.
Yes, and we'd love to hear from you in the comments. Later in this video, we'll ask you a question about your job, and we want you to answer it in English. It's great practice.
Also, if you're new to the English Mind, welcome. Please subscribe to our channel so you never miss a lesson. We post new videos every week to help you improve your English.
And to all our returning subscribers, thank you so much for your support. You're the reason we love making these videos. All right, Smith, let's get started.
Perfect. So let's begin with the basics. The first thing people usually ask is, what do you do? Or what's your job? These are the most common questions about work.
Right. And the simple answer is I'm a, followed by your job title. For example, I might say I'm a teacher or I'm an English instructor.
Exactly. Notice that we use a or an before the job title. We say, I'm a doctor, I'm an engineer, I'm a nurse, I'm an accountant. It's that simple.
Now, some people might ask, what do you do for a living? This is another way to ask about your job. The answer is the same. You just say your job title.
Let me give you a quick example. Imagine I meet someone at a party. They might say, Hi, I'm Sarah. What do you do? And I would respond, Hi, Sarah. I'm Smith. I'm a content creator. I make educational videos.
That's a great example because you gave more detail. You didn't just say, I'm a content creator. You added what kind of content you create. This makes the conversation more interesting.
Exactly. So if you're a teacher, you could say, I'm a teacher. I teach children, or I teach English to adults. If you're a chef, you might say, I'm a chef. I work in an Italian restaurant.
This extra detail is really helpful. Now, let's talk about some common job titles that you should know. Smith, can you start with a few?
Sure. Let's start with office jobs. We have manager, secretary, receptionist, accountant, sales representative, and marketing specialist. These are very common in business environments.
Good ones. Then we have medical jobs like doctor, nurse, dentist, pharmacist, and veterinarian. A veterinarian is a doctor for animals, by the way.
Right. And we can't forget about education. We have teacher, professor, tutor, principal, and teaching assistant.
Then there are creative jobs like artist, designer, photographer, writer, musician, and actor. These are for people who work in arts and entertainment.
We also have technical jobs. For example, engineer, programmer, software developer, technician, and architect.
And service jobs are really important too. We have waiter or waitress, chef, barista, hairdresser, mechanic, and driver.
Now, I want to share a little story. When I first moved to London, I was working as a delivery driver. People would ask me, What do you do? And I would just say, I'm a driver. But then I learned to add more detail.
What did you say?
I started saying, I'm a delivery driver. I deliver packages for an online shopping company. This gave people a much clearer picture of my job, and it made conversations easier.
That's a really good point. Adding details makes you sound more fluent and confident. Now, let's move on to talking about where you work. Smith, what's the common question?
People usually ask, "Where do you work?" And you can answer with the name of a company or the type of place.
Right. For example, you could say, I work at Samsung if you want to name the company, or you could say, I work at a hospital, or I work in a school.
Notice we use different prepositions. We say, "I work at" when we mention a specific place or company name. I work at Google. I work at the city library.
And we use I work in when we talk about the type of building or industry. I work in a bank. I work in a hotel. I work in the fashion industry.
Here's another useful one. We use "I work for" when we mention a company or a person. I work for Amazon. I work for my family's business.
Let me give you a full example. Imagine someone asks me about my job. I could say, I'm a marketing manager. I work for a tech company in the city center. I work in a modern office building.
Perfect example. You gave your job title, who you work for, and where the office is located. That's complete information.
Now let's talk about describing what you actually do at work. This is your daily tasks or responsibilities.
Yes, this is really important. When someone asks, "What exactly do you do?" or "What does your job involve?" you need to describe your activities.
We usually use the present simple tense for this because we're talking about regular, repeated actions. For example, I teach students, I write reports, I meet with clients.
Let me give you a longer example. If I'm a sales manager, I might say, "I manage a team of 5 salespeople. I meet with clients to discuss their needs. I prepare sales reports every week. I also train new employees."
That's excellent because you used several different verbs: manage, meet, prepare, and train. These action verbs are really important when describing your job.
Let me share some useful verbs for different jobs. If you work in an office, you might use organize, schedule, coordinate, handle, process, and communicate.
If you're in a creative field, you might say design, create, develop, produce, edit, and publish.
For customer service jobs, you would use assist, help, serve, answer, resolve, and support.
And for technical jobs, common verbs are analyze, test, repair, maintain, install, and troubleshoot. Troubleshoot means to find and fix problems.
Here's a little story from my friend Maria. She's a hotel receptionist. When people ask about her job, she says, "I work at the front desk of a hotel. I check guests in and out. I answer phone calls and emails. I help guests with their questions. I also handle room bookings and payments."
That's a really clear description. She used simple verbs like check, answer, help, and handle. Anyone can understand exactly what she does.
Now, let's talk about work schedules. This is another common topic in job conversations.
Right. People might ask, what are your working hours? Or what's your schedule like?
If you work regular office hours, you might say, "I work from 9 to 5," or "I work from 8:30 to 5:30." We usually use from and to when describing work hours.
Some people say, I work 9 to 5, without the from. Both ways are correct. You could also say, I work 8-hour shifts, or I work a 40-hour week.
If you have a different schedule, you might say, "I work night shifts," or "I work the night shift." This means you work during the night hours.
Or you could say, I work part time, which means fewer hours than a full time job. Usually, part time is less than 35 hours per week.
Some people say, I work full time, which typically means around 40 hours per week. And some people say, I work flexible hours, which means their schedule can change.
Let me tell you about my cousin Ahmed. He's a software developer and he works remotely. When people ask about his job, he says, I'm a software developer. I work for a startup company, but I work from home. I have flexible hours, so I usually start around 10 and finish around 6.
That's becoming more and more common these days. Working remotely or working from home. You can use both phrases.
Now let's talk about how to describe whether you like your job or not. This often comes up in conversations.
If someone asks, do you like your job? Or how do you like your work? You can give an honest answer.
If you enjoy your job, you might say, yes, I really like my job, or I love what I do. You can add reasons like, it's very interesting, or I enjoy working with my team.
You could say, my job is challenging but rewarding. Challenging means it's difficult, but in a good way. Rewarding means it makes you feel good and satisfied.
Notice we use for when we mention a period of time. For 2 months, for 6 years, for a long time.
We use since when we mention a specific starting point. I've worked here since 2020, or I've been a doctor since I graduated.
You might also talk about your career goals. Someone could ask, what are your career plans? Or where do you see yourself in the future?
You could say, I'd like to become a manager one day, or I'm hoping to open my own business, or I want to specialize in digital marketing.
Let me share a story. My friend David is a nurse. He's worked at the same hospital for 7 years. When people ask about his future plans, he says, I've been a nurse for 7 years now. I love helping patients, but I'd like to become a senior nurse, or perhaps move into nurse education. I'm currently taking extra courses to improve my qualifications.
That's a really complete answer. He mentioned how long he's been working, what he enjoys, what his goals are, and what steps he's taking to reach those goals.
Now let's talk about some challenges or difficulties at work. This is realistic conversation.
Yes, someone might ask, what's the hardest part of your job? Or what are the challenges you face?
You could say the most challenging part is dealing with difficult customers, or the hardest thing is meeting tight deadlines. A tight deadline means you don't have much time to complete something.
You might say, sometimes the work is stressful, or I have to work long hours during busy periods.
But it's good to balance this with positive things. You could say, it's stressful sometimes, but I find the work very meaningful. Or the hours are long, but I work with wonderful people.
Exactly. In English conversations, we often balance negative comments with positive ones. It sounds more natural and optimistic.
Now let's talk about benefits and perks. Perks are the extra good things about a job besides the salary.
Someone might ask, what do you like most about your job? Or what are the benefits?
You could talk about things like, we get health insurance, or I have 4 weeks of vacation each year, or the company provides free lunch.
Other perks might be, I can work from home 2 days a week, or we have a good pension plan, or there are opportunities for training and development.
A pension plan is money saved for retirement. Training and development means chances to learn new skills and grow professionally.
Here's an example. I work for a tech company in the finance department. The salary is competitive, which means it's good compared to similar jobs. We also get health insurance, 3 weeks of paid vacation, and the office has a gym. Plus, they pay for professional courses if we want to learn new skills.
That's a really good answer because it covers different types of benefits: salary, health, vacation time.
facilities, and learning opportunities.
Now we're going to give you our question of the day. This is your chance to practice in the comments.
Yes, here's the question. What's your job and what do you like most about it? Write your answer in English in the comments below. Try to use some of the phrases we taught you today.
For example, you could write, I'm a graphic designer. I work for an advertising agency. What I like most about my job is the creative freedom. I can design unique projects every day.
Or you could write, I'm a high school teacher. I teach mathematics. The best part of my job is seeing my students understand difficult concepts and improve their skills.
We really want to hear from you. Don't worry if your English isn't perfect. The important thing is to practice, and we read all the comments.
All right, let's do a quick summary of everything we learned today. This will help you remember all the key points.
First, we learn how to answer the question, what do you do? You simply say, I'm a, or I'm un, followed by your job title. Remember to add extra details to make your answer more interesting.
Then we covered where you work. Use I work at for specific places, I work in for types of buildings or industries, and I work for when mentioning a company or person.
We talked about describing your daily tasks using action verbs in the present simple tense. Verbs like manage, teach, assist, create, analyze, and handle.
We discussed work schedules. You can say, I work from 9 to 5, I work night shifts, I work part-time, I work full-time, or I have flexible hours.
We learned how to talk about liking or not liking your job in a polite and natural way. You can say your job is challenging but rewarding or fulfilling.
We covered talking about colleagues and work relationships using phrases like, I work with a great team, or I report to my manager.
We discussed career progression using the present perfect tense. I've worked here for 5 years, or I've been a teacher since 2019.
And finally, we talked about job challenges and benefits. Remember to balance negative comments with positive ones to sound natural.
The most important thing is to practice. These conversations about work are so common in English. Whether you're traveling, studying abroad, or working in an international company, you'll need these skills.
Start by practicing your own job description. Write it down, say it out loud, and try to use different phrases each time. The more you practice, the more confident you'll become.
And remember, you don't need to use complicated language. Simple, clear English is always better than trying to use difficult words you're not sure about.
Exactly. Native speakers appreciate clarity and simplicity. So focus on being clear and confident rather than trying to impress people with complex vocabulary.
We hope this lesson has been really helpful for you. Talking about your job is such a practical skill, and now you have all the tools you need to do it well.
Before we finish, don't forget to answer our question of the day in the comments. Tell us about your job and what you like most about it. We can't wait to read your answers.
And if you found this lesson useful, please give it a thumbs up. It helps other English learners find our content.
If you're not subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a lesson. We have so many more topics coming up that will help you improve your English.
Remember, learning English is a journey. Every lesson, every practice session, every conversation brings you closer to fluency. So keep practicing, stay motivated, and don't be afraid to make mistakes.
That's right. Mistakes are part of learning. The more you speak, the better you'll get. So use every opportunity to practice talking about your job in English.
Thank you so much for watching today's lesson on the English Mind. We really appreciate you being here with us.
Yes, thank you. Keep learning, keep practicing, and we'll see you in the next lesson. Until then, take care and goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone, and good luck with your English learning journey.